In this video, we will discuss about what are the cellular mechanism occurs during resistance exercise and endurance training, and how some supplements such as BCAA affects those intracellular mechanism. So before proceeding into the videos, I would like to make an announcement that I am not taking any kind of supplement that I mentioned uh, in this paper or in this video. So let's start with the figure on the left hand side. So we will first discuss about how the cells behave without any supplement during prolonged exercise. So during prolonged exercise, what's the important function that are occurring within the cells is the oxidation of this fatty acid. And during this prolonged exercise process, this TCA intermediates goes down, and because of that, what will happen is that this consumption of this fatty acid oxidations also goes down, and because of the precursor steps are goes down, there is a decrease in the ATP production, and people will and that will leads to the fatigue, and that could be the reason why during the prolonged exercise most of the people get fatigue without any supplementation, without any supplement intake. And compared to this case, when the people take this BCAA supplement, in this case what will happen is that these BCAA supplements will try to increased these TCA intermediates, and this TCA intermediates when increase, that will make sure that this fatty acid oxidations will continue to go on, and because of this fatty acid and TCA cycles will continue to produce the ATP, and that is the more ATPs are produced, then there are less chances that people will get fatigue earlier, as the ATP is the basic source of energy, and because of that the people will be able to do exercise for a longer duration time and have high endurance. So this is about the difference between when the people do prolonged exercise without BCAA supplements and with BCAA supplements. Now let us understand the difference between resistance. What are the changes that occurs when the people do resistance exercise and compared to this endurance training. Resistance exercise means that heavy weight training, and endurance exercise are mainly we can call it as uh, like a jogging for a longer duration of time. So we will start with this resistance exercise. So when the people do resistance exercise, then it will activate this mTOR pathway. So the muscle contraction and shear stress will activate this mTOR pathway, and this mTOR pathway will cause the differentiation of the satellite stem cells, or satellite cells activations will occur, and that will differentiate in themselves into this myocyte, and this myocyte differentiation and fusion will finally leads to this increased muscle mass. And so this is one of the pathways that will cause the increase in the muscle mass. The other things that this mTOR do is that it will also activate this S6K pathway through the phosphorylation of this S6K, and that will lead to the increase in this complex, that's EIF2A complex. We have discussed this EIF2A complex in one of our previous videos, that more amount of this EIF2A complex, there is a higher possibilities of this translation of the mRNA into the proteins, as this EIF2A complex helps the ribosome to translate the mRNA into the proteins. So the more protein synthesis occurs within the cells, and simultaneously what will happen is that this mTOR pathway will also be supplemented, or can also be triggered through this leucine amino acids, and other things that will cause that works in the opposite direction of this mTOR pathway, or that suppresses this mTOR pathway, is this AMPK pathway. It will suppress the mTOR pathway, and simultaneously this mTOR pathway will prevent the autophagy and the loss of muscle, and that will also cause this increased muscle mass. So the resistance exercise will not only cause increased muscle mass through this monocyte differentiation, however it will also try to suppress this autophagy and loss of muscle proteins. However, when the people do the endurance training, there is slightly different intracellular changes occurs. And in this case, the important thing that occurs in the endurance training is this glycogen consumption. That is, glycogenesis occurs. That is not shown in this video. So because of the glycogen oxidation, what will happen is that this in the process of glycogen oxidation, this ATP is being utilized, and because of that the AMP to ATP ratios goes up, and when this AMP to ATP ratios goes up, then it will trigger AMPK pathways, and this AMPK pathways will activate this PCG1 alpha path. Through this PCG1 alpha, then it will go through this PPAR delta, and thereafter it will cause this mitochondrial biogenesis. Sometimes this PCC1 PGC1 alpha will also directly cause this mitochondrial biogenesis. This mitochondrial biogenesis means that it will increase the number of mitochondria within the cells. The more number of mitochondria, then it will produce more ATP. At the same time, it needs some energy to convert. It needs some raw materials to convert this more ATP, and in order to do that, it will consume this fatty acid. At the same time, this AMPK pathway will also trigger autophagy, and this autophagy will lead to this recycling of the amino acids. So part of amino acid will be utilized by mitochondria towards ATP formations, and part of the amino acids will go into this glycogenesis process, and for example, this alanine will help in this glycogenesis process, and in this process the glucose will be formed, and this glucose will also be utilized by the mitochondria for this ATP synthesis, and that will cause this enhanced oxidative capacity. And the other things that will occur during this is that this FGF21 pathways will also get triggered, and because of that it will also activate this AMPK pathways, and simultaneously this muscle, due to the muscle contractions during endurance training, it will also affect, or it will enhance this AMP to ATP ratio and this activation of this FGF21. The contracting thing between endurance training and resistance training is this AMPK pathway. The AMPK pathways gets activated in the endurance training, that will prevent this mTOR pathway activation. So this is the difference between the resistance training and endurance training, and how in the endurance training the people might cause this slight muscle contractions, and it will also cause this autophagy, and that might lead to this muscle loss. Whereas in the case of resistance exercise, it will lead to the increased muscle mass. That's why it's always advised to have both the things, that is resistance exercise and endurance training, in everyone's routine, so that they will not only have the high endurance, but at the same time they will have the enough muscle mass that is essential in order to live a healthy life. So I hope you got this basic idea what are the intracellular changes occurs during resistance exercise and endurance training. And if you need to understand more about this topic in detail, you can go through the reference that has been provided in the description. That's all for this video. Thank you for your time.